Do Miis still have a place in the world? That's a weird title, but it's kind of what I'm going for. So Miis, introduced in 2006 on the Wii, Miis became a worldwide phenomenon. And then they were also on the Wii U, although you probably didn't know because you didn't have one, and now they're on the Switch. Slightly. They technically exist on the Switch. And that's the interesting thing that made me decide to make a video on them. And also because my other ideas were just terrible. Why have Miis started to disappear, and should they be disappearing? Are there still cool ways to use Miis, or are they a relic of 2006? I'm like 95% sure that's the year the Wii came out, but I'm going to risk it and not check. Hello all 3,300 of you, I'm Redkwan, and do Miis still have a place in this oh so cruel world? So first off, how exactly have Miis fallen off? What is the difference between Miis right now compared to how they were back on the Wii? Well, back on the Wii there was the whole Mii channel where all your Miis were displayed, and you could create your own Miis and add them to the collection. Plus you had a whole cronkin' parade of Miis that weren't good enough to make the starting lineup. Maybe that's not how you were actually supposed to use the Mii Parade, but my Mii Parade was a march of 300 absolute atrocities. Then on the Wii U, you still had the dedicated Mii channel, but the way they were displayed was a little less fun. I mean, sure, you could do all the poses and stuff, but they weren't really moving around by themselves, and you couldn't make them sprint into alphabetical order or anything like that, so that's a bit of a bummer. I will give the Wii U credit, though, for having Miis represent the different profiles, because that was a really fun use for them. And it was also a very Nintendo way for them to represent you. The biggest change going to the Wii U, though, was that Miis were no longer a big part of games. There were exceptions, of course, like Nintendo Land, and probably others, but very few games on the Wii U allowed you to use the Miis or were focused around Miis. Maybe that's just a change in the type of games the Wii U got versus the Wii, though, so it's hard to say for sure if Miis were starting to be less used then, especially when the 3DS actually had several Mii-themed games, but there's no questioning that Miis have fallen off on the Switch. Miis are in basically 0 games, and you almost never see them used, and their only real purpose is in choosing profile pictures, and even with that, most people have some stupid game character like this instead. Now that's stupid, and I'm calling myself out here too because I'm just using a logo as mine, and it's really lame. I don't even know why it's an option, but I chose it, I guess. It almost feels like they're embarrassed to still have Miis on the Switch, and they make them as hidden as possible. So if Miis really have become less utilized on the Switch, the next question would be why? And I think the best explanation is that Nintendo wants to move away from Miis because Miis represent the Wiis. A lot of people seem to think that the Wii U associating itself with the Wii was a big reason for its lack of success, and Nintendo didn't want to make the same mistake with the Switch. They wanted to make something to distance themselves from the Wii's reputation and make people think of something cooler and sleeker when they think of Nintendo, and I definitely think it worked. The Switch probably would have done fine anyway if Nintendo featured Miis on it like the Wii U did, but it probably wasn't a bad idea to try to act like they've moved on. And that might sound bad if you're a fan of Miis. Nintendo's moved on from Miis? Oh boy, but I actually think it's probably a good thing. If Nintendo wasn't trying to put some distance between themselves and the Wii with the Switch, and just thought Miis were a bad idea or dumb or something, they probably wouldn't come back ever. And while they still might not make a comeback, I actually think there's a decent chance they do. Sure, Nintendo wants distance from all that stuff right now, but there are still plenty of people out there who really want more stuff with Miis, and I think there really are still plenty of ways to use them. And I think Nintendo probably knows that too. Nintendo has already showed that they're more than the Wii, and I don't think there's a real danger of people associating them with that anymore. So when they release something after the Switch, I don't see any reason people would be upset about there being more Mii stuff, especially if the rest of the system was still very close to the Switch. And besides, at this point, I don't think it's all that bad to be associated with the Wii. Sure, it was underpowered and uncool like in 2011, and it got a lot of low-effort games put on it, and you don't want people to feel that way about your new system, but in terms of the Wii brand, I think today, a lot of people who 5 years ago might have looked down on the Wii appreciate it looking back on it, or at least realize that it had some good games on it, and it's been long enough that Nintendo can milk it for nostalgia now, so that's pretty cool. And also, they just make sense for user profiles, like why can I choose this? This is stupid. So yes, I think Miis still do potentially have a place in this world. I'm not saying they will make a comeback, because I don't think there's really that much incentive for Nintendo to do anything either way, if I'm being quite honest with you, but I don't think it's out of the question. If Nintendo wanted to make another Wii Sports Resort style game where you could freely travel around an expanded Woohoo Island, I think people would be all over that, and I can't imagine something like that not selling really well. Plus, there were just some good ideas in the Mii-themed 3DS games, and I think part of the problem with those, again, was just that they came out at the wrong time. And there are plenty of things that Miis could still get, like clothes, or ears, or, I don't know, like, what if you could make Mii dogs? That'd be kind of cool. Or if they want to stick with simplicity, I mean, they could add some new noses or something, probably. I'm not losing sleep over any of this, but I do think it's interesting. And also, I'm not kidding about the Wii Sports Resort thing. Everybody knows that would do amazing, and Nintendo could bring back Miis on their next system solely for that purpose. And believe me, they would sell like stinking hotcakes, because people actually like the Wii again now, which, you know, get that money while you can, Nintendo. I know you will. Well, I'm Redkwan. Do you think Miis still have a place in this cruel and wacky world? Are you a Miis superfan? Personally, I think they're kind of fun. My bigger thing is just that I hate this right here. I just hate looking at it. It's stupid, and it shouldn't exist, and I'm part of the problem, I know, but it's just a shame. It's a shame, and it's shameful. Anyways, I'm Redkwan. Thank you all for watching, and I'll hopefully see you all later. Goodbye.